It's unfortunate but true. India has more lives lost to road accidents than anywhere in the world. A whopping 1.2 million. And there's an urgent need to make our roads safer. And that's the objective with which the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill has to be passed by the Rajya Sabha but is stuck. Why? Because it's being opposed by various parties for curtailing powers of the state government and favouring corporates. Now, are these objections valid, and will the amendments proposed make India's roads safer? That's what we are going to discuss on Urban Reality today. And joining me for this analysis are Piyush Tiwari, CEO Save Life Foundation, a non-profit working on road safety and emergency medical care in India. We also have with us Amit Bhatt, Director, Integrated Transport, World Resources India. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Piyush, I went through your report and I think it was very eye-opening. Number one, statistics that 91% in people actually care about road safety law and believe that legislation will reduce road crashes. So there's no apathy on this matter. People can feel it if they lose a family member. Yet we are unable to pass an amendment bill. Why?
You see, there are two aspects to this amendment bill. One is the aspect of safety, and the other is the aspect of regulation of transport.
Correct.
When it comes to safety, we're talking about everything ranging from licensing to driver's training to road engineering to scientific crash investigation and so on and so forth.
And they're good measures. All of them must be done.
And much needed, because the Act is from 1988, very mildly amended till now and not really focused on safety, and has been quite deficient in the way it deals with road users at this point of time. So, for example, children are completely excluded from the current Act as far as their safety is concerned. Vulnerable road users are completely exempted. Road contractors and engineers who build faulty roads are completely exempted. So the whole idea is behind this specific amendment is to make it more inclusive and make it more
and make some people accountable.
Absolutely. But you see, the challenge here is that when we talk about the regulation of licenses, right, or we talk about regulation of how RTOs function. Now, Transparency International report from 2007 states that RTOs and traffic police combined on national highways alone and from trucks alone, they collect a bribe of $8 billion a year.
$8 billion a year?
A year. This is the Transparency International report.
Okay.
So
why would they want to give that up?
So exactly. So when you're trying to shake that piece and you're saying that everything should be digitized and the power should be taken away from the RTOs or curtailed to some extent, states obviously will have some problem with that, and some people will have a
So it's good to know that there are some of the objections are valid. I think states are already, Amit Bhatt, feeling the loss of power. Look at GST. Now that's centralized. It was much needed. There's no doubt about the fact that to make businesses more robust and cleaner, you needed a GST, but states have lost out on that. Now, real estate regulation is a prime example of how, again, it's a central legislation which has to be now implemented by states. And this is exactly what we are proposing in this Motor Vehicle Amendment Bill. That, look, this is a central law. This is what we want you to do. But, hey, states, you have to implement it. My question is, however great the legislation is, even the implementation part on safety, it's a big question. Who's going to do it?
Absolutely. So when I started my career about 16 years back, the first thing I was working on was the National Road Safety Policy. At that time, we were killing about 80,000 people a year in
Only 80,000 people. God.
One of the recommendations was to amend the Motor Vehicles Act or bring a new legislation. 15, 16 years down the line, still the Act has not been amended, but the death rate has gone from 80,000 to 1.5 lakh a year.
Okay.
So the question do we really care about road safety? Is it really an important issue? And going by the action, unfortunately, it is not. Because if you go to states, they will always say that where is the center direction? Where is that legislation which I can... So the state themselves can also do something, but they always rely on a central direction.
So there they're asking for central legislation, but here there's a central legislation waiting to get passed in Rajya Sabha, and they have an opposition saying, look, you're taking away our powers. Now, bribery is not anybody's birthright, correct? It's just, it flows to the top. We all know how these systems work, and I guess that is the bigger issue here, that people who are benefiting from a corrupt system will lose that power. But let's just come back to the amendments proposed itself. And Piyush, I want your opinion on it. are there enough provisions currently to make our roads safer? The way I read it, I think it did. It even included helmets. People don't care about helmets. People don't care about seat belts. The fines have been enlarged to such an extent that there should be a deterrent, because abhi kya hai? 1000 rupees mein to koi manta nahi hai. So maybe 10,000 will deter them. What is your opinion?
Sure. So I would say the current amendment addresses about 60% of the issues.
Okay.
It's not 100% yet. But 60% is a great start.
But it's a great start.
It's a great start, given the fact that nothing has been moved in the last so many years. Now, when it comes to specific amendments, there are some really, I mean, fines is one aspect, and fines, it was long overdue to amend it. Even if you just applied general inflation to fines from 1988, a 100 rupee fine then, which is still the case, should be around 998 rupees at this point of time. So making a 100 rupee fine to a 1,000 rupee fine is not really, dramatic as such. But when it comes to structural amendments, I think what the bill is really talking about is it's looking at core issues. So when we say people drive badly in India, why is it that people drive the way they drive in India? The fact is that the things that filter, the things that control the quality of drivers, the licensing system and the training system are completely fractured.
Completely
so
fractured.
So it's looking
yes.
at reforming that system. When we talk about seat belts and helmets, it's always been there in the law, but certain categories of road users like children have been excluded from that. So they have been brought in at this point of time.
But this online licensing, I know that other than probably a few RTOs which have made it as an online test and kind of take care of it that not everyone slips through the gaps. Most states today you can buy a license.
Absolutely.
And that is the starting point, Amit Bhatt, isn't it? You're giving licenses to probably people who cannot drive.
Absolutely. And I know within my family a number of people who have got licenses without even going to driving schools or even the RTO. So I think this amendment...
Every family has those stories. And they're proudly related.
And they're proud, absolutely.
We talk about them. Oh my God, I just sent my papers to an uncle in Imphal and I got my license. Right?
So a lot of this problem of bad drivers can be controlled if we license them right. And this act has a provisions for making them. I mean, I was just speaking to someone in Delhi Transport Department yesterday, and they said wherever they have had automatic driving test, the refusal rate is over 50%.
Yes,
so
I can
people
imagine.
can't pass, and therefore, but if that was not the case, they would have got the license, they would be on the road. So I think there are definitely, I agree with Piyush, to me it's not 100% right legislation, but it is something that we can live with. We can definitely improve upon, but we have to make a start.
How will you now assure the implementation part? So let's say with all our discussions and your articles, we are able to put the pressure and maybe the opposition sees some light in passing this. How are we going to get them implemented is another big question, Piyush. Any thoughts towards that?
So 2 points here. The first point is that the opposition that parties have is not necessarily to the safety elements. It is to the transportation elements in the bill. They have an issue with their powers to issue permits being taken away or being diluted.
So
I think that's
you're
the
saying
challenge.
Why not amend that or just do away with that?
So the entire exercise started when Mr. Gopinath Munde, the union minister, passed away in a road crash, and the entire bill was about road safety. I think the challenge came in when the government decided to make sweeping amendments to the transport elements, and I think that's what is causing the rift. That's point number one. Coming to your question about the implementation piece, implementation has to happen at the state level. When we had filed a PIL in 2012 and the Skandan Committee was formed by the Supreme Court in that, Skandan Committee had recommended that the annual budget for road safety for the country should be close to $2 billion a year.
Whoa.
Why is that the case? Because the country loses 3% of its GDP every year to road crashes.
I was going to ask you,
so
and that's
you allocate a small percentage of that to safety, you save a much larger percentage of our GDP, which is lost by various elements,
And this is something I guess we need to drive the message to the state governments. Anyway, gentlemen, I've run out of time, but I think the important part here is that if you can do a little give and take, not take away the state's authorities on licensing, but allow for the safety measures to go through, this bill definitely needs to be passed in the Rajya Sabha, and amendments are much needed.
It will empower states, because some of the states are taking leadership role in road safety. For example, Haryana has launched a Vision Zero campaign, and the 10 districts have shown a 5% decline in fatalities, where the state as a whole has seen incline.
Wow. All right. So there are examples. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Very interesting discussion. Thank you so much for joining me. So reducing road crashes, road accidents is not just a dream. It has to become a necessity. And We're going to conclude on that note, and I'll see you again same time next week.